like I know.
3, 2, 1. I'm gonna assume we're probably live.
Let's hope so.
Check. Yeah. I'm gonna take a quick look. I think it's going right. Oh no, it's replaying the old one. But I think so. Sorry about that. I'm going to assume we're live, but I want to make sure. Oh, yeah, definitely live. Okay.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
So we got a special guest.
Yeah.
Buffmonster.
That's right.
How you doing?
Good, man.
Dude, long time no see.
Well, I mean, I saw you on Saturday.
Well,
but before
I
that,
mean, Saturday,
it had been a long time.
You know, yes, exactly. How are you doing?
Oh, good. Yeah. You know, we're in LA for about a week and a half here. And yeah, it's good.
You were in
Awesome.
the Hello Kitty show. So I forgot to mention this to you, but like we usually do like a top 5 kind of thing. Like, you know, where we like for us it's usually because we do the show weekly, we just kind of go over 5 things that like we're like, oh, this is kind of cool, or oh, that really sucked, you know, and we kind of discuss it. I don't know whether or not that's something you could be able to like, you know, make happen, you know.
5 things. You want 5 things to talk about?
5 things that, you know, just
That are
just
great, or that sucked?
or like
it
about
could be,
yours.
yeah, both of those.
Yeah.
Just a list. A list. I mean, you know, if you want to do that.
Yeah, jeez. Can you give me a minute to come up with something?
Yeah, well,
Sure.
Well, so we were just talking about like the fact that like Eric had you know a
petty theft.
Oh, yeah?
You know, like 2 people shoplifting in the store, and then they're they're on video. I put the video online, and sure enough, it, you know, I don't want to say blew up, but I mean, I get some big people retweeted it, and then I got like, you know, some anonymous narcs who just straight up said who they are, and
Wow.
then I started looking it up more, and I was like, oh yeah, I think they're right, because I had some people that were wrong, and I had some person was right, and I was like, oh, I think I know who this person is. You know, and then I don't know. I mean, I don't know them, but I looked it up, and I was like, oh, I found all their infos, and then sure enough, then they deleted their Instagrams. But
Oops.
yeah, they realized both of them, 2 people,
Yeah,
both of them,
yeah.
I think deleted it or disabled it, and but you know, the pictures still kind of show, like I know who their names are, and you just do a Google, and I see more pictures of them that are now all like down, but you know, at least you get a good thumbnail.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, check these guys out.
But so is this something you have to deal with a lot?
No, but it just, you know, you get some really scumbaggy people, and then you know, you have a hunch that they maybe stole something, and then sure enough, you look at the camera, and I'm like, oh, they stole. So if you want to be like a really prim and clean person that's there, maybe you could steal something, and we won't even have the suspicion. But sometimes we know when things are missing. We're like, oh,
Right.
where did these things go that were right here? It got stolen, probably. And then we look it up, and I'm like, oh, this guy stole it. So once it happened, we had clues, and then we realized, oh, something got stolen last week. Sorry. And then all of a sudden, the same person came back, but we didn't realize it until later. And then they had left, and then we were like, oh, shit, they stole something. The same guy came. So now
So I mean,
there's going to be pictures of this guy in the store.
Well,
and
that's what I was going to ask.
He's going to be
right? I
really,
mean,
yeah, he won't be able to come back. I mean, actually, they got confronted by an employee 5-10 minutes later on the street, and they were told, hey, don't come back. You're stealing from a small business. What are you doing? And then they actually said sorry, but then they were told not to come back, so we'll see if they come back. And then they got blasted on social media, which then, you know, now they're, I mean, I know who their names are.
I mean, that's the real punishment right there.
Yeah,
right?
I would think so. And I mean, I did make a police report, all that stuff right away, and now I do know their names. Now we're at like, what am I going to do with their names and info?
Right.
Like, I don't, you know, I almost feel like I'm at a stage where I feel bad. Like, I have compassion. Like, I'm like, oh man, I kind of like, here's the dream scenario. I wish I can go and talk to them. I wish they would come here. I would talk to them. And because I mean, these guys have a future of some sort, maybe not, but they're probably 25 years old. And I just kind of want to say, hey dude, like, you know, if they apologized in person, I would shake their hands, and it would be a happy ending, right? For me, I would feel actually better about it. But you know, if right now I'm going to put them on, I'm going to give their names to the police, and whenever they do something bad next, there might be a report with their names on it that they've stole something. It's on video, you know, I have proof, and now it's one of those things that, you know,
Before we started
it's just bad.
recording, I was trying to like coach Eric into like giving up the names on air, but then I kind of realized that that's doxing, and we don't want to.
Yeah, because what if I'm wrong? You know, like there's a small chance I'm wrong, but I don't think so, man. I feel
That's okay. I mean, they might be listening to this.
I don't know.
No,
I doubt it.
no.
But you know, maybe if I publicize that we have a conversation about them, they might actually, you know, someone will say, "Oh shit, they're talking about you guys," right? One of their friends,
Right.
because obviously their friends saw the social media and probably told them, "Hey, bro, you're on video."
Yeah.
You know, like Venice 311 retweeted it, and that's like got 190,000 people, and
Concerned citizens.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, like that. So anyways, that was a small thing, but I just got obsessed. So I started like doing a lot of Google, and I have tons of photos of them, like in
More than you ever wanted.
yeah. I was thinking maybe I'll make a zine.
You should.
A two thieves zine.
You know who I saw the other
It's
day?
probably worth nothing. You know.
That has nothing to do with stealing, but who used to work for you is Michelle.
Oh, cool.
I haven't seen Michelle in like 7 years.
I haven't
Oh,
seen
wow.
her in forever.
I saw her last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was
Yeah.
she
She was
in New
She,
York?
she was
No,
here.
here
She
for
was
CatCon.
here, and I couldn't. There was a dinner, and I couldn't go because
Yeah.
I forgot what happened. I had a neighborhood council meeting. I couldn't go,
Mm.
so I missed it. But did
Yeah.
you go to dinner? You went to that?
No, I wasn't here for that.
Mm.
But I did go to CatCon
Oh, you went.
and hung out with her. And I mean, I haven't seen her since.
I'm calling this number one on your top fives.
I hope so.
Okay. Okay.
Michelle Michelle Borat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's.
No, I haven't seen her since she moved to Mongolia. So
Oh
it
my
was like,
God.
you know,
It's been that long.
yeah.
Yeah,
that
since I haven't
crazy?
seen her since she moved to Mongolia either. So that's awesome.
You missed your chance, my
I
man.
did.
Yeah.
Well, there's next year.
There is always next year. There is always next year.
Yeah. Awesome number one.
Yeah.
Do you have a number two?
Well, this is totally unrelated.
Doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
it doesn't have
but,
to be.
Micheladas.
Number two, micheladas.
Right, that's
Awesome.
the beer with the spicy
Tomato
kind of,
sauce?
or is
Tomato?
it sauce, or is it the
Clamato?
rimmed with
I
the spice?
Everyone does it differently.
Okay.
But
It's all Salvadorian, right? I don't think it's Mexican. It's all Salvadorian.
No, well, no, it depends on who you ask.
Okay.
No, it does. Mexican friend of mine said that it was from Mexico.
Oh, okay.
So I don't
Gotcha.
know. But
Okay.
here's the thing. When I lived here, I lived in LA for about 15 years.
Yeah.
I moved away 7 years ago,
Yeah.
and I was never into micheladas when I lived here.
Mm.
And now that I don't
Was
live
it
here,
popular though? Like I never even heard of it until like 2 years ago or less, maybe less.
I mean, there were things that I heard about when I lived here, like the Salton Sea, for example.
I've never been there.
People would be like, "Oh yeah, hey, we just went to Salton Sea," or "Hey, whatever," and I was
Mhm.
like, "I don't know anything about that." Like, I didn't even look it up. I was
Right.
like, I don't know anything about that." But
Mhm.
now, I learned all this stuff about the Salton Sea, and so
Cool.
I was in LA about a month ago for like 2 days,
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
and then we left and we drove to the Salton Sea.
Awesome.
It was great.
Mm.
It's like this weird.
Was it
thing.
rad?
It's super toxic.
never been.
It's super toxic.
Right.
Oh.
It's like not a good place to go.
You know, when I think of the Salton Sea, I think of that one movie
With
featuring Val Kilmer.
Val Kilmer. I watched it once we got back from the Salton Sea, and then I realized I had already seen it.
What's the
Mm.
movie about?
Meth.
Salton Sea and meth.
Meth. It's about meth.
Wow, Val
Meth
Kilmer. and
dealers.
meth.
Not so much
yeah.
about the sea, just
Yeah.
about the meth.
It's about the meth.
Wow.
Yeah. And it happens to be, I guess, near the Salton Sea.
Okay,
Yeah. So,
it's kind of a cool name.
so wait, when did you have micheladas? Did you have it when you were out there, or?
No, there's not a whole lot out there, man. There's like really not a lot out there.
But
Yeah.
micheladas.
But yeah, so no, I found this place in New York that had them, and they're really good.
Mm.
And I was like, when I'm here, I was like, let me try to find some of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you found some?
I'm still looking. I mean, yes, I have found some, but
Nothing quite like what you had in New York.
the search continues.
Right.
I actually read a list of the best 15 micheladas in LA before I flew out here this time.
Mm.
Wait, and you didn't get any yet?
Not on the list.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
Oh.
Well, you still have a couple more days at least to work on
Awesome.
that.
But they're in like faraway places like Downey or something. It's like, dude,
Oh.
I'm not
You
driving
don't
to-
have to
Oh.
drive to fucking
I'm not
Downey.
driving to Downey for a michelada.
Yeah, it sounds
It's not gonna
sounds like
happen.
a downer.
So there's that.
You know, one of my because you kind of can't didn't like one of my number ones was like the Hello Kitty show and stuff like that.
That's a good thing.
so.
Did you guys already talk about that?
Well, I
This
talked
is
about my
number one.
perspective,
Yeah.
but like
Oh.
I want to hear. I'd love to hear yours.
Okay.
If that you would,
Give,
if that
give me
would
the
qualify.
Cliff Notes version.
Long ass fucking line, a whole lot of fucking Hello Kitty, a bunch of other artists in the other galleries.
Okay.
I mean, that's kind of what the way I summed it up.
You better do it.
All right, yeah.
We'll take a photo real
yeah,
fast. Luke has long arms for
Oh,
an
do
Asian.
you want help?
Oh, we could do that too. Luke has a long
Yeah.
arms for an Asian guy. He could do selfies. with-
I do
like
some
mine's
pretty
too short, dude. My arm's like short. Look at that shit.
That's pretty good. Well, I'm right here. I'm in the
Eric,
middle. I
lean
can't
in.
lean too far.
Eric, lean in.
Okay, I'm trying,
Oh.
man.
All right.
I keep
Here
hitting
we
the
go.
mic. Okay. Ouch.
There it
Nice.
is.
Okay.
All right. Some
Anyways.
good dead air there in the
Yeah,
middle.
it's
It's all
okay.
good.
It's okay.
It's all
okay.
good. Everyone's, you know,
Yeah.
it's. We took a picture, everybody. That's all.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, so Hello Kitty. So I'm happy to be included in this year's show.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was invited to the 35th anniversary Hello Kitty show
What year
10
is it?
years ago.
45. Okay.
Yeah, this is 45. So
Wow.
35th was at Royalty.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think it was the year after that, it was like the 50th anniversary of Sanrio, the company that owns Hello Kitty.
Mhm.
Right.
So I was involved in that.
Cool.
And then 5 years ago was the 40th anniversary at Janum.
Were you in that?
Yep.
Okay.
I was in that.
Yeah.
And then here we are, 45th.
Right.
And I'm invited all over again.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
You know.
Were you in the past ones?
I was in the past
All of them?
ones.
Those-
All
Wow.
of those.
Okay.
Well, here we are.
You know.
Cool.
I will say this. I didn't think about it at the time, but like, you know, there was someone that was noticeably missing. It was Jamie from Japan, LA. You know.
Yeah.
So
How was she missing?
I don't think she was a part of the show.
Was
No,
she
she
supposed to
wasn't.
be?
I don't think so.
Oh,
But
okay, because I was like, is she like employed by Sanrio?
Well, no,
or-
but she had curated those previous shows.
Oh, the two?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
well, that just-
actually three.
Three.
Yeah, all
Because the
three of those.
Sanrio one, too.
Yeah, the
Oh.
Sanrio one,
Yeah.
and both Hello Kitties,
Yeah.
like the
Oh.
Janum one and
Yep.
the Royalty one.
Yeah.
You know.
What happened?
So I asked.
They just showed who's boss, like this ain't yours type of thing. Is that what happened?
I asked
That's kinda
the
gnarly.
gallery about this,
That's
and
weird.
because I was kind of like, you know, what's up with all these group shows? Why was the 15th anniversary show split into two shows? Blah blah blah, and like it just doesn't like.
Oh, there's two of them. That's
Yeah.
what I didn't quite
Yeah, yeah.
understand.
And basically, like, you know, what happened was a lot of like they would have like artists who were supposed to be in the big gallery, the main spot, bail out on them.
Oh,
And you know so apparently they would like kind of like scramble to put something in there
Oh.
to make something work, and you know.
But she did the Janet one. That was like, that was a really big show.
But I don't think Hello Kitty was ever like on the list a year ago, for Corey Hilford,
I see.
and so
Oh.
you know they I think basically kind of scrambled to make something happen,
Well-
like because you know when you do like a show at a space that freaking huge. You're like you need to spend like a year and a half to 2 years to put that show together.
Yeah.
It's like, you know.
The one thing I really liked the show, and I think it came together great. I mean,
Yeah.
I do think the one and so you know they got that space after I moved to New York,
Right.
So that was actually the first time I've been to an opening there. I'd been to shows just up,
Right.
but I hadn't been to an opening there.
Yeah.
And I think that look, I think it was great. I'm happy to be included. It's
Yeah.
all good.
Mm-hmm.
I do think it's kind of a missed opportunity for some people. I wish that some people would have painted bigger.
Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
dropped a fucking 8-inch by 8-inch painting in
I'm not pointing fingers
no,
at you,
no,
Luke.
no,
I'm
no,
not pointing
no,
fingers
no,
at
no,
you.
no,
It's just it's a huge space, and
Right.
and it does look nice. It doesn't look like, oh hey, there's not enough work in here. It's not like that. But
Oh,
I'm
they
like,
got
God,
110 fucking artists
it's
for that
such
show.
a big space,
Yeah.
you know. So I actually the painting I made a painting that's 24 by 24,
Yeah.
but I actually started a painting that was bigger than that I abandoned.
Oh.
Oh.
Because I knew it was a big space. I was like, I want to do something big. And I started running these problems. And I was like, God. Like, I could work through the problems where I was like, or I could just, like, start over.
Oh, how long ago were you guys asked to be in the show?
Maybe I think it was probably about like I think the invitations were sent out like around like February or March or something like
Something like
that.
that.
So
you
it's
know.
not tremendously long lead time for you guys, but
No,
long
no.
enough, I suppose, but not like.
Right.
Gotcha.
You know.
Yeah.
So like you know.
Well, maybe 50 is going to be the gnarly sized show wherever that will be at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see. But yeah.
Hopefully I get invited.
Yeah.
Maybe Jamie.
You know?
Maybe Jamie will curate that
You know,
one.
you
I
had
don't
to you
know.
had a print
Oh.
in the
Yeah.
show.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like you know.
I'm happy about
you know,
that.
Sanrio and you know like It's cheering me on. It's good.
No, it's good. I'm happy. I'm happy. It's all good. Yeah, happy to be included. You know, it's fun to revisit Hello Kitty, and I never really like interpret Hello Kitty all that much because I think Hello Kitty is like, pretty perfect just as she is.
Absolutely.
You know, so yeah. I keep it pretty close to how she looks, but yeah, and this one, like, I did a lot of research, you know, because I have some like reference material from working on the other shows, so really digging through like some really awesome like vintage designs from Hello Kitty and stuff. Yeah.
No, you had a great piece, and you also had a great print. So,
Oh, thanks, man.
Thanks,
man.
Did you come out here just for this show, or was there other reasons? I mean, I noticed. Working here, I met other artists who came from like faraway places just to be at the show because they had one piece in it, and I was like, "Would you flew out here for this?" Right? I was kind of like thinking, "Wow."
Wait, which artist did you meet?
I forgot.
Was it a woman with an Asian woman?
I did a Luke, and I don't remember their names or faces. For that matter. Yeah,
Perfect.
Yeah, I just
It's a
remember
double whammy.
I remember there was more than one who stopped by, and I was like, "Whoa, you guys came from far for a group show that you're barely in."
There was.
Wait, this is the Hello Kitty show?
I think they came here for the Hello Kitty show.
I met an artist who flew out. I don't remember where she flew out from.
So you don't remember anything either.
But I remember her work.
Do you remember what country she was from?
The United States.
Okay, so the person who came here was from Canada. So
maybe Canada.
Oh, see, okay. Okay,
I don't know. North America.
Yeah.
North America.
Okay.
What she did, like, she's had like 3 or 4 like pieces in group shows at Corey Helford, and they're really fun. They're like, she does flocking, and they're really clever, and like sometimes she'll like incorporate music boxes and stuff. But you know, she came out. I think she used this opportunity to like come out and like get a good feel for what the gallery is like, and you know, so. But
awesome.
But
I just was surprised.
To answer your question, I had a few things going on.
I
in
assume
LA,
so.
It made sense. But yeah, I mean, hey, I'm glad I did. You know, I mean, that was quite an opening. You know?
Oh, yeah, we're still talking about that.
Yeah, no, it was. Oh my God, that fucking opening, that line, that fucking line.
Well,
like,
you don't have to wait in that line.
No, but like I see it and it hurts. It hurts my soul to see people like waiting.
Well, it hurts your soul to see people that love something so much that they gotta show up
and
to be involved.
And just,
that's good.
No, it's good, but like you just watch people like waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and I'm like, you know, you could just come on Tuesday and like, you know, and like really.
Yeah, but then you're not gonna be there. I'm not gonna be there on Tuesday.
True. That's true.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. But I don't know, like sometimes seeing the work without the fanfare of the opening is a better viewing experience.
Yeah.
You know, so.
I was in the gallery a couple hours before the opening with like nobody there, so I got to see everything nice and peaceful. Like, yeah,
Awesome.
Good.
So wait, let's back up 7 years. Why did you move to New York?
Yeah.
You know, you're like a fixture here in LA. Like murals everywhere.
Man.
A lot. There's still some that you could see from the train. I think, right? You take the Expo line. I'm like, I think I see your art.
Really?
Last time I took the Expo line train, I saw your work at maybe a school.
Yeah.
Or 2 schools?
Yeah,
More than one school, for sure.
Probably just,
right?
Probably just one.
Really? Okay, but I saw it from the train. I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, there's Buff. So
Yeah.
then you moved to New York.
Well,
why?
Yeah, why? Well, you know, so I lived here for 15 years, and I wasn't really looking for a new place to live or new anything, but I had been in New York for a show with Jeremyville at Tara McPherson's place, Cotton Candy Machine. And it was on that trip that I was like, God, this is pretty good. I think maybe I could do this. So I came back to LA. I flew back to New York for like a few weeks, hung out at Tara's place, and just was like, I don't know, just feeling it out. Like, you know, could I do this? And then I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. And so I think that, I don't know, maybe it wasn't like top of my mind because I was just like so stressed and so crazy all the time back in those days. But I really wanted something new. You know, I really wanted to see what New York could offer. And New York has proven to be like better than I ever thought it could be. I mean, it's just the opportunities out there are just pretty remarkable.
Wait, how or what? What opportunities and how? Like, how is it different, or how is it better, and how did it exceed any expectations?
Well, I didn't really know what it was going to be. I knew it was going to be intense, and I knew it was going to be expensive. But other than that, I really didn't know. But basically what happened was, as soon as I got there, I just started getting invited to do projects, travel, do all sorts of stuff that I didn't even foresee that happening at all.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's still me. It's still doing what I'm doing. And it was just moving to New York. It's like, oh, New York artist. Hey, you want to come here? You want to do this? You want to do this? So I met up with L'Amour Supreme within like 2 hours of arriving in New York.
Wow.
And we started traveling to all sorts of places, Paris, Tokyo, just doing all sorts of stuff together. And that led to other things. And then, you know, on and on it went, you know. And, you know, met a lovely girl out there.
Yay.
And we've been traveling all the world, and we've been doing all sorts of good stuff, you know.
Wow.
So,
Do you think the opportunities in New York are greater than in Los Angeles?
you know, well, here's the thing. So what I will say is that LA has changed a lot in the 7 years that I've been gone.
Yeah.
You know, there's you know, when I lived here, there was, you know, we didn't have Uber, we didn't have like all this stuff, right?
Right.
So yeah, it, and then actually, and also in the last 7 years, so many artists have moved to LA.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's been so much money put into buildings and like all sorts of stuff. I mean, I go downtown, like I don't even recognize it. It's like, dude, like
Me neither.
none of this
Yeah.
stuff
I
was here.
seldom go, so
I
I'm
know.
always like, oh shit,
Yeah.
what's this?
No, I was
Yeah,
shocked.
yeah.
I like just crazy. So yeah, so LA has changed. I mean, we all changed, right? Like we've all changed. LA's changed. Everything's changed. But yeah, I mean, I think, you know, what happened was too, like I started getting opportunities with even companies here in LA that I didn't work with before.
Right.
You know, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I could go on and on
But
and on.
it's one of those things where I would think you left what I thought would be a good situation for yourself, you know, to like go somewhere else. So I was like, why would you do that? Right?
You know Dove, right?
Sure.
Dove was like, oh, dude, the weather sucks. He's like, I give you like a year. It's like, ah, come on. But, you know, so, you know, I was born and raised in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Right? So I lived in LA.
We actually went to Hawaii recently, and
Oh, yeah?
I told Luke then. I think you were surprised, right?
Yeah, I was surprised.
I
I,
was like-
did not know that you were from Hawaii.
Huh. Yeah.
This dude's
Well,
a moke.
I think that's the wrong terminology, Eric.
Is that a bad word? We learned that out there. We learned that out there. So
That is a word.
you wouldn't be a moke.
Nah.
Okay, wrong. Okay, that was a joke anyway.
Yeah. So, wait, what were we talking about? Oh, yeah. Okay. So I lived in good weather my whole life.
Yeah.
So I never had the seasons. So that was part of it too. I was like, oh, let me see what the seasons are all about.
Mm.
And you like
They're
it?
pretty sweet. I gotta say, snow, the novelty is wearing off. But no, it's awesome. I mean, hey, when it snows, when it's cold and bitter outside, it's like you just kind of roll with it. You know, you put on your big jacket, you put on your big boots, and everyone else is in the same boat.
Right.
And you just like suffer through it together.
Right.
You know, and I think that you know, one of the things that I think has impact on New York, is like the opposite of LA, is like the celebrity culture thing. Like here it's like TMZ and it's like all this
Sure.
stuff and like blah 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 blah. In New York it's just like, yeah, there's famous people and they're just around and they're dealing with the same kind of stuff that everyone else is dealing with.
Right.
And there's no photographers everywhere and it's just like, yeah, you just get on with it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I guess.
How do you like, you know, I always kind of feel like there is this weird kind of like gulf between art from artists who are like have an LA aesthetic versus a New York aesthetic, and you know, being that, you know, your work, you know, especially from 7 years ago, you know, fitted very well into the kind of LA art, you know, lexicon. Like when you moved to New York, did you feel like there was kind of like a rift between like how you fit into all of that?
I think that's an interesting point, Luke. I think that maybe I fit in just because I knew people and I was doing stuff and I was putting up posters, so I felt like kind of part of all of it. But I think all the bright colors and stuff came from Hawaii.
Sure.
And so I think being in New York, yeah, I've actually been what I've been working on this year, the last few months, is like even brighter colors and more of them, just like full color,
Right.
just crazy, more than I ever did. Because before it was like pink, black, white, and gray. Like
Right.
try to keep it kind of together. And I'll do more colors if the opportunity like.
So you're using
suited it.
blue?
I'm using all the colors,
Oh,
all of
shit.
them.
No,
all
the
of
piece
them.
in Hello Kitty was very colorful. Had
Awesome.
yellows, and oranges,
Oh man, it's like
greens,
full
yeah,
on,
yeah.
and I think that comes
Cool.
from Hawaii, right? Yeah, no, that's an interesting observation, Luke. Yeah, for sure. Well, yeah, I don't know.
So you didn't like when you moved to New York, you didn't feel any like I wouldn't say culture shock. I mean, I think there is a very big difference between like, say, New York contemporary art versus L.A. art, right? Like you stroll around the Chelsea or wherever, and it's like a very different aesthetic philosophy behind.
Yeah, you're not going to see bloody bears or bears
No.
with blood and stuff, right?
No, the work is definitely less illustrative, but obviously there's also a big street art culture
Yep.
in New York too. I've noticed. I mean, like I remember like following you on Instagram and seeing like like before you were doing a lot of wheat paste kind of
Yep.
stuff, but now you're doing a lot more cans and murals
Yep.
and hand painting.
Yep.
Did you feel that like being in New York kind of helped inspire you and motivate you to kind of move more so toward like murals, gigantic hand painted murals and stuff like that?
Yeah, well, the thing is, like, living here, I put up a lot of posters because LA is a driving city, right? So it makes sense to like get things and put them as many places as you can and make sure it's visible. Normally would put them at intersections because that like traffic's going to be stopped. Captive audience, like that was really the thing, and that was effective for a city like this.
Electrical boxes and shit like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I really didn't paint too many walls. Actually, one of the walls I painted here, I used a brush. Like I wasn't even using spray paint. There was like a period of 10 years where I had used spray paint once on a wall. Yeah,
Those walls are big sometimes.
but they're pretty few and far between. The walls I
saw
was doing
one in
here.
Venice, right? The Venice near Abbot Kinney, kind of on the way to Abbot Kinney. There's like a big wall. You had a big ass thing there. What is so funny?
Maybe.
You don't remember? It's there. I don't know if it's still there, but it's there.
Anything's possible.
You don't remember?
Well, I mean, the only wall over there was like with London Police and D-Face and Shepard and all these guys, and I just painted like a little thing in there.
I don't know. The one I think was pretty big.
Oh yes, I know what you're talking about. Yes.
West Side, man. I'm a West Sider,
Hey,
so hey.
yeah, no, that
Okay.
was.
And there's one at a private school, maybe, or is that a private
Yeah,
school?
that's Vista
in,
Del Mar.
that's like in Cheviot Hills, right? There's a
Yeah, I don't know. It's like National
Yeah,
10 Freeway.
that's there,
whatever.
dude.
Yeah,
I saw it like 2 days ago.
I know, but I painted that actually after I left LA.
Oh,
so that's
okay.
like part of
Wow.
moving to New York is New York's a walking city.
Yeah.
And New York
Yeah.
has seasons, like I said. So wheat paste, yes, you can do it, but like it doesn't really lend itself so much to painting murals.
Right.
And so getting back to, and of course the history with the graffiti, starting there and all this sort of stuff. So really getting back to using spray paint has
Cool.
been something I've been doing a lot of. And I just painted this giant mural for Pride, painted it about a month ago.
in New York.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so just this last Saturday was the big
Pride
parade, right? And this is like World Pride. This is like they're expecting like even more people than normal to come to New York for this whole celebration.
I
It's
think I read like
World Pride.
millions. Or
Well,
something
normally
like
they
that.
said it's like 2.6 million, but they were expecting like 4.3 million.
Wait, this is
time.
in New York?
In New York, yeah.
Oh, I thought the big thing was here. I didn't even
Well,
know
there's a
that-
big one here too.
but not that big.
Yeah.
Wow. Shit, New York one's gigantic.
Well, because this year was also 50 years of the Stonewall riots, which happened in New
That was in New
York. So
York,
like this was a big year to be
Oh,
involved.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
I thought,
Well, good thing
Yeah.
I came.
didn't even know it existed in New York. Seriously, I was like, there's such thing in New York. They do that? I didn't know. But
Yeah.
rad.
Yeah.
So, it's gigantic. Fuck.
Yeah. So I've been painting more murals, but to your point about the colors, I think for me, like I'm not so conscious of it because it's just like me and what I'm interested in and kind of going for it. But like if there's people that come to the studio that know me and know my work, but maybe don't know like me and my story so well. You know, when I tell them, oh, well, I'm from Hawaii originally, they're like, that makes sense.
Awesome. So wait, where is your studio? Is it Brooklyn somewhere?
No, my studio is in Lower Manhattan.
Awesome.
Yeah, I live in Brooklyn, and I take the subway every day.
Where's the studio?
The studio is on Bowery.
Bowery. Okay,
Yeah.
wait. Do you have a mural art on the wall somewhere near there? I
Yeah,
mean,
totally.
so I went. God, I can't remember. I've been to New York maybe 3 times in the last, I don't know, 8 since my shop closed. But I remember the first time I went, I was like, oh shit, Buffmonster. Like, I was like, oh, you know, I knew you moved there. And then I saw like something big painted, and I can't remember where. I feel like it was a building that was abandoned or something, like somewhere in the lower east side area.
So there's a building a block from my studio.
And I
The
saw
street
that.
is Christie and Broome, and there was.
Is that near the kind of like, I don't know?
There's a park across
grassy
from there.
area. Yeah.
Okay,
So I saw it.
So that wall I painted
Yeah.
in 2015, which is a
Okay.
block from my studio.
Uh-huh.
And then when I did the new big one just recently for Pride, we painted over that one and went
Okay.
all the way to the top of the building.
Awesome.
So
Okay.
it's huge. It's 31 feet tall by 94 feet wide.
Okay, because
It's like half a block.
I
I mean,
always
it's a huge
I always
building.
end up walking in that area, so I know I saw it. But then I feel like even before that, did you paint somewhere where it was like half circles or maybe like an arch, but it was like a wall that had an arch around it, you know? And I think you painted in those underneath this.
Huh.
Yeah, it's not an arch like you can't walk in it. It's just brick maybe, and it was like an arch, and I think it was all graffitied out. But I remember your work was on there, and I was like kind of proud. I was like, LA, look at this, you know, like the LA dude comes to New York and like right away it had paintings on the wall. And I remember I saw something, and I was like, dude, awesome. Like I don't know.
It took a little time. But
I was happy to
yeah.
see it because I was like, that's actually big. It was in Manhattan, and it was big. I was like, fuck. Anyway,
Well, thanks, man.
yeah,
Hey, you know,
enough ass kissing.
little
but
kid
there
from
you go.
Hawaii. You know,
Yeah,
what
yeah.
the hell, right?
I guess, man.
Well, you know what's funny is that like I have not even I didn't even realize how many like Hawaiian like artists that no longer live on the islands there are that have kind of made names for themselves, you know, in the you know the mainland kind of art movement, like
Such as?
like you, OG Slick, Woes. You know, there's a you know more than I would ever expect.
Ikandayo, I think.
Yep,
Him
yeah,
too.
mhm.
Deffer.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Uh-huh.
but they're like mostly. I guess they're not all graffiti, but they're kind of graffiti, street arty. Started, you know, kind of.
Well, there's
But
a lot
how
of
many-
street
how many
arty
are-
stuff.
Well,
like,
no, I mean, like, you
They're all,
know,
yeah.
it all kind of comes from painting your name somewhere, and then.
But they're all kind of like equal in age, right? Like, I mean, I think Slick's a little older, but
Yeah.
did you know them then? Or
No, what's funny
Okay.
is, so Woes used to paint graffiti, traditional kind of graffiti, and I never knew him back in the days that I was living in Hawaii, which is a long time ago.
Right.
But afterwards, you know, he was working with Mind Style, who I used to work with for toys and stuff. And we were on this plane to Florida together, and we started talking about all this Hawaii stuff. I was like, dude, that was you? You know, I was like, I never met him, but I'd seen some stuff, and I was like, oh, crazy.
it is kind of small world, right? To a certain degree. I mean, it all kind of like eventually loops up, especially like you have the microcosm of the art world, like these art worlds, like, you know, and certain names kind of pop up here and there, and then, you know, then they kind of come to prominence and suddenly like are able to connect the dots, and you're like, oh snap, there goes my phone.
But yeah, I mean, I think the funny thing is like we've all been doing it for so long, right? So I think that's kind of an interesting thing too, right? I mean, like look at all the people you've met and published and shown, and I mean, think about all those people over the years.
oh, it's a lot.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
By the way, Thomas Hahn wants to say it was great seeing you.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
He's got a great michelada recipe as
Oh.
well.
Wow.
And that
My
Jamie,
man.
and that Jamie started all that like Hello Kitty shit.
Awesome.
So
That's all true. That's all true. Yeah, it was great to see Thomas, man. It'd been so long since I've seen him.
it's been a long time for a lot of us. You know, he just recently has kind of, you know, come back up again, and
Yeah.
you know is, you know, trying to get like back on his feet. So,
Yeah.
you know,
And-
shout out to Thomas Hahn.
Wildly energetic too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's
Positively energetic.
But
yeah.
so, like, what do you think, Eric? I mean, like I said, you've been curating all this stuff for so long. You've known so many artists over the years.
What do I think of what?
I don't know. How is curating an art show now different than it was 10 years ago, 5 years ago?
I guess I've changed. I mean, I don't really.
Is it
know.
easier, harder? You have people DMing you all the time
I
on
would say-
Instagram,
I
like,
would
"Hey,
say
show my work."
I think it's harder because there's way more. Maybe there's more outlets, more competition. The artists I know that got bigger, they're busier, unavailable to me
Right,
oftentimes.
yeah.
You know, and some have gotten really big and definitely like unavailable and can't even. I can't even bother them anymore. So it's kind of how it goes. But and then at the same time, I meet new young artists too. So in a way, that's my place. I think. I mean, this isn't as big as Corey Helford and as beautiful as Corey Helford, but this has its place, and I know what that place is. So in that way, I'm good with it. It works well, and I'm happy with that. Like I'm not seeking to make a space 10 times bigger than this. I'm good right here.
Yeah.
And I kind of like it. So yeah, in that way, I dig it though. You know what I'm saying?
No.
So no, I mean that's just. But I'm saying is that's like, for me, it's in a way the same. But some of the artists I realize it's like, oh, they're gone for me. Like I'm not going to bother them anymore for art shows, and I got to live with that. But it's amazing to see that too. So in that way, I'm good.
Yeah. No, I didn't mean to insinuate that. I mean that you wanted this to be something other than it was. I was just thinking about your experience, just kind of.
But that is my experience,
together.
though. Is like I those opportunities were there for me to like make a bigger space, and I could have grew with some artists that got gigantic.
Right.
But I just not interested.
Right.
Wasn't interested. So as I saw things kind of grow, I'm like, awesome. Like looking at it, going, whoa, rad, and. Then I just keep going and doing what I do. So in that way, no, it's all good.
Right. Yeah.
I'm happy with it. But then I'm just also mesmerized by how the scene has grown, from like me being a hobbyist, an art hobbyist, to being able to curate shows and then watching like a new world kind of come out of it. Because I didn't know like this would grow into like more things too. There was like a lot less opportunities, and I don't know. In that way, it's rad. And then glad like whatever big galleries grew out of it, and glad to see all these things that happen. So it's mesmerizing.
Yeah.
And it's way bigger than one person, right? It's tons of people, and we'll see. Maybe it grows more. I'm not sure. But kind of mind gets blown in a way, because I mean you're in New York doing it. I'm like, this exists in New York too. Like I kind of like almost like my personal world is smaller, so I see things how it is here. But then I'm like, what opportunities are there in New York? I almost think there aren't any. But then,
well, you wouldn't be too far off.
Yeah, because I feel like what would a young artist? What are they going to do in New York?
It's going to be tough.
Okay. So again, in what? Yeah. So
no, seriously, right? I mean, we had Cannibal Flower all those years ago. We had like all these things, all these opportunities, right? Like it was a really like nurturing environment.
That doesn't exist in New York. Somewhere in way out yonder Brooklyn.
God,
I don't think it even exists in Los Angeles anymore, to be honest. Like, Cannibal Flower still happens, but it's...
Does it really?
Yeah, it does. LC still does it.
No
like,
kidding.
But I do hear of like shows happening at these places or that, like I hear of other stuff.
But the thing is that like, Lightning's like, it's like that time like between 2003 to 2007, it was like lightning. Like, things were like crazy. Like people were just coming up fast, and then of course the recession happens, everything turns to shit, and fucking, everyone, and the people who really had a firm grasp on what was going on were able to, stay afloat, but so many other people sank, and like it's never really kind of come back to that, to that level, that place where it was, when, Buff and I were like coming up. It was like, that was a crazy time. Like I thought it was.
Do you agree? I don't even know. I don't remember anymore.
Well, I mean, like this was back when that was a time when you had freaking like stores and galleries all up and down, like on the East Coast and the West Coast.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I did have
over
that.
in Silver Lake and the restaurant, and
San Francisco and New York. Freaking like.
But as an artist, was it like crazy at that point?
Well,
because I feel like
2006 was a huge year for me.
Mm-hmm.
2006 was like not like life changing, but 2006 was a really big year for me. I quit my magazine job. I went on tour around the country.
You were doing design at a magazine.
Yeah.
Flint?
No, it was. Well, I worked at a few magazines.
I worked at Larry Flint too, like for a little bit. But
I worked.
you weren't at
The
Larry
last
Flint.
magazine was at BPM, which when I started was in the Flint building.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, my brother's here. He was working the Flint building at the same time too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Old Flint building or the newer round one, the oval one? Because before. That
I only know the oval one.
What's that?
The new one.
Okay, because I worked at before he moved there.
The one on Sunset.
Yeah.
Yeah, we worked in the one in.
Wait.
Oh.
Was it on Sunset? I forgot, man. But
Okay.
it was.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, 2006 was a big year. You know, I quit my job to go on tour and the whole thing, and came back, and I was just like super busy with everything. I mean, there's just like God, it was like insane back then. It really was.
So it's not insane now. I see you as being pretty busy yourself.
Yeah, I think
I am busy. I work a lot. I like working. I like not working. It's all good. If it's like, hey, I got to work, 12-hour days for the next month, fine. So be it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, it's like, oh, hey, we're going on a little private island for a week. Great. No emails. I'm good.
Wow.
So I can go either way. And that's kind of like the balance, right? It's like you're going to bust your ass all this time because, it won't be like that, obviously, every day. But yeah, no, I don't know. I like working. I do a lot of stuff, but I guess it's, I don't know. It's just different now. It's not as like frantic. It's not as crazy all over the place. It's a little more like, okay, I'm going to do that. No, I'm not going to do that. And, it's like, just get on with it. Or like, I'm going to do that, but I'll do that later because I just want to make paintings.
Right.
That's what I've been doing recently is just kind of ignoring as much as I can and just like, I just want to work. Just by myself in the studio. Working, that's it.
Do you got some shows coming up?
I do have some shows. I have a show coming up in Switzerland, July 22nd.
That's coming up.
Zurich, Switzerland. Yeah,
Wow.
that is coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's called Coley Gallery. I've worked with them before. They're in Zurich, Switzerland. And what they've done is they've changed how they do their art shows. Instead of the normal way, it's a 1-week show.
Oh.
It's 5 pieces. It's 1 week. That's it. Moving on to the next one.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah, so it is a solo show. But yeah, 5 pieces.
Are you going big for these?
No, they're actually kind of small. So what I've been doing is normally, and Luke, I'm sure you know how this goes, is normally you have a show, so you have a deadline. You're going to work really hard leading up to that deadline.
Yeah.
And you just hope you amass the right kind of number of paintings that it all makes sense. So what I've been doing this year is instead of being on that usual kind of thing, I've just kind of much earlier than I would normally start working, just ignoring everything and making paintings. So in the last several months, I've made more paintings than I've ever made.
Wow.
And it's not like painting for a show where you're like, oh, hey, I need to get 12 paintings or I need 16 paintings or whatever the number is, so it's like, oh, everyone counts. Right. This time it's like, oh, that one sucks, cool, I'll paint over it tomorrow. I don't care. I don't even take a good photo of it. It's like, who cares? So it's just like this creative process of like, I'm not trying to get a number. I just want to be painting. As long as I'm painting, I'm doing the right thing.
I'm jealous. That like I need to get over like a serious case of the burnouts in order for me to
Well, you need to go on a trip. So I always tell people to watch this interview with Stefan Sagmeister, who's a big designer.
Yep.
And he did a TED Talk a long time ago called The Power of Time Off. And the power of time off. So Stefan Sagmeister is a big designer. He works on big projects. He has a big office.
And has nice books. When he makes a book, it's beautiful.
Nice books.
Sure.
And so what he does, every 7 years, he closes his studio for a year. Closed. Gone. Website not working. Emails not working. Closed. Gone. See you in a year.
Wow.
He spends a year. Now, I don't know what his assistants do. But
his work?
Well, no, there's nothing to do. Like, they're gone. They got to get a different job for a year. Like, they got to do whatever they got to do.
Oh, I thought they would keep something
I mean,
going.
maybe he pays them a stipend, but I don't know.
Wow.
But so then he spends a year traveling, working on little projects, like just being creative, right? And then, but here's the thing. He says that in that year of screwing around and blah, 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 coming up with ideas, just kind of like just being creative, all that sort of stuff, he generates enough ideas to see him through for the next 7 years.
Whoa. Wow.
Okay.
Right, nobody click off and look at that yet. Wait till we're done. That sounds really rad. But
No,
yeah.
it's a really good video. So that's the thing, right? So that's where it's like, I work a lot, but I also take time off because you have to have that time off.
Yeah.
You have to go travel. You have to go do things. You have to see friends. You have to do all the things that you don't normally have time for.
Right.
You know, you have to.
Yeah.
There's just no two ways about it, you know.
Yeah. I'm.
Or you just spend time burning out.
A slow burn.
You know,
Do everything the same, just burn out.
yeah. It's I don't know. Yeah. No, I mean, I've been trying to like be better at like, you know, managing, you know, my like the amount of time I spend, you know, working on paintings and stuff like that. But then, you know, there's another kind of thing that I have to manage, and it's called money. And you know, and
That's
so like, you know, finding a balance between the two has been kind of tough for me, you know, because I'm, you know, that shit burns holes in my pockets, man. You know, and I just need to like, you know, I just go out and I'll vent by spending, you know, and you know, next thing you know, it's like, oh well,
Better get back to painting.
Exactly. Like, oh hey, you want to do a show? Like, you want me to put in your group show? Okay, let's do your group show, you know, and so it's you know, I basically kind of, you know, I mean, like, you know, it's.
Well, look, I think there's this book that I've talked about before called The War of Art, and The War of Art is this pretty insane book. It's the short like a chapter might be like a paragraph, like it's pretty easy to get through.
Okay.
And The War of Art was recommended to me by a friend and collector, and I have a pretty good work ethic, so like that's fine. And I wasn't looking for a book like this, but he's like, dude, you know, seeing you going to your studio, he's like, dude, I got this book called The War of Art, and I've just been like working, man, like get up early before I go to work. I just like make stuff. I was like, oh, okay, I'll check out that book. And this book, oh man, like it's just like a swift kick in the ass. It is like nothing else. It's
Who
like,
wrote it?
I don't know, but he's done like subsequent books. He's done subsequent books after that, and
Larry Flint wrote it?
No,
I'm just kidding.
so yeah, it's man.
The War of Art, huh?
Now I'm not saying you need that, or I'm not saying that you should read that. I'm just saying like if you want to have a different perspective maybe on things, because I think, you know, with the war metaphor, I mean, I think being an artist is like the war of attrition. It's just like, who is still doing it after all these years?
Right.
You know, how do you maintain it? You know, how do you be creative? How do you not be burnt out?
How do you stay relevant? That's like another thing, you know, like people like, you know, I'm like, you know, especially like, you know, in this modern social media kind of era, like how do you like, you know, like keep people's interest? Because like, you know, I feel like, I mean, there's plenty of artists out there who have taken extended like breaks and boom, they just kind of drop out. Like, you know, like right now everyone's on Instagram, right? Like what's going to be the next fucking app that like, you know, everyone's following everybody else on, you know, and like, you know, if you are taking a break when that fucking window of opportunity opens up, you know, and then you decide to jump in it later on, you know, you're like literally like just like, you know, pushing in order to get like, you know, followers and whatever and people to pay attention to you. You know, like shit, there's plenty of artists out there who like took, you know, years off, and where are they now? Like they were like here, you know, maybe like 5, 6, 7 years ago, and then, you know, they kind of disappear. Maybe things happen, like maybe families happen, you know, or like, you know, just general disdain for like the lifestyle happens, you know, and then like suddenly they're here, you know, and like, you know, like if you're like, I do not want to experience the fucking, you know, the financial backlash of being from here to being down here, you know, because it's it will be rough. I don't think I could be able to like, you know, live off of like, you know, like that like drop in interest and collectors and stuff like that. So like I kind of feel like, you know, I have to have like a calendar, a steady calendar of like, you know, things going on, you know. Obviously, like, you know, I don't want to like I can't do like 2 solo shows a year like I used to. That's just fucking like going to break my back. But I at the same time like I like doing shows, working in Los Angeles, showing in Los Angeles, like you can't fucking like do like multiple shows in different galleries here anymore.
Right.
Like galleries are becoming pretty like I remember before I'd do a show at Gallery 1988, and then I'll do a fucking show at Corey Holford, and I'll fucking like put some stuff in Giant Robot,
slumming it.
fucking doing some stuff at CoPro Gallery, whatever.
These paintings didn't work. I'll give them to Eric.
But back then, like people were like so fucking hungry, for material that or for new work that like, it didn't matter. But like because things have gotten pretty tight, have tightened up around here, like, certain galleries are very like, protective or, of, the artists that they show and don't want them, working with other galleries.
Well, I mean, there's some of that going on like years ago too.
Yeah.
I mean, there was definitely, oh, you're working with them? All right, well, hey, not going to invite you to our show then.
Right. But it's
no, but I mean, hey, look, it's a career, and you have to be strategic. I mean, it's like, look, you're basically a small business owner, and you have to be on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be strategic. You can't piss off the wrong people or the right people. You gotta, it's like if you're in it for the long haul, you gotta like be smart about it.
Right. Right.
So.
Yeah, you gotta play like the split. You gotta really study supply and demand. With your own stuff too, yourself as well.
So do you think that is different? Like, so you're saying how like you used to be able to show or put pieces everywhere and blah, blah, blah. Now it's not like that. So do you think that's like you specific, or you think that's just kind of LA? You think, I mean, cause I don't know, you probably have other artist friends here. Maybe they have different take. I don't know.
I think it depends on who you're working with, like, I don't know. I don't mind saying it here. I think it's, okay for me to say here, but like, Corey Holford has been, very like, picky. It was specific, protective of the artists that they show. I have a group show that I'm curating coming up.
You are.
Yeah. It's actually next month with Mr. Nakamura. And like, they've kind of like said like, look, we'd prefer that you don't invite, certain, some of their artists because, and
to do one tiny piece,
a little piece for especially like artists that they and to a certain degree I understand, like if you have an artist who's showing like later on that year, you don't want them to like have to be distracted by group shows when they should be working on like all their Gallery 2 and Gallery 1 are fucking-gantic, and like I just did a Gallery 2 show and that was a 28 painting show. I remember back when I used to be okay, I could just do 15 paintings for a fucking solo show and, cruise with that, but like.
You could do it here, man.
Yeah.
15?
Yeah. Do 6.
Got you. Yeah.
But
we'll do
like,
one of those 1 week 28 painting show things.
No. But like, not for 28 paintings for 1 week is never going to fucking happen.
Oh, 15, I mean. 15. That's good. Anyway.
But like, but like, when like, they kind of approached me and said like, hey, we, don't want you to reach out to, the artists that, we regularly work with because, we are afraid that like it'll confuse collectors into like, and stuff like that. I was like, well, that sucks. But, and I can, and it's become a thing, like, where like, there's certain galleries that are vying for certain artists, and they don't want these artists to kind of like spread out and like do a show with ThinkSpace, do a show with CoPro.
Well, I mean, it makes sense, right? I mean, they're going to invest a lot of time and money, and it's like
I understand why they said that. Like I can I get it. So and I'm not mad at them about it, but like and I and that becomes another issue of like supply and demand, right?
Of course.
So when artists spread themselves out too thin, they're hurting themselves. So
definitely.
But anyways, I don't know where I was going with this. But
You went to Luke World. That's all good. Luke World is a great place.
no, Luke World is when I go on about like how people need to die and blah blah blah. But
Okay.
because of global warming and
Man, that's you.
But we're not going there tonight. Not tonight. Or maybe.
Well, can I say that I'm in that show?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, of course.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's good.
Buffmonster
Yeah.
has graciously agreed to be a part of the food show. I'm very happy.
Well,
to have
you know, it's funny, right? I mean, I paint ice cream all the
Yes.
time, right? So it's like it's all food. I mean, I don't think of it as food, but it is all
It
food.
is.
Mm-hmm.
And so so like I said, making all these paintings, it's actually a new experience. Where like, if you would have asked me, maybe I normally would have been like, oh my god, one more thing. I don't know if I could do it, whatever. But now that I've just been working all the time, it's like, I have all these paintings. It's like, which one am I going to send to John Robot?
Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
I was actually thinking about it. I got two. I was like, it might be this one, it might be that one. So we'll see.
So
it's
are
like,
you doing more paintings versus murals, like time-wise?
oh
right
yeah,
now?
definitely. But they're all small paintings I've been doing too. Like I don't want to like mischaracterize what I've been doing. They're all
Sure.
small,
Mm-hmm.
but they're kind of more like studies, right? So like figuring out technical things and kind of just like, okay, how is all this stuff going to work? Figuring out what is kind of working for me, and then working on bigger paintings from there, right? And like, that's
Awesome.
kind of the plan.
So are you doing murals still at the same time, like doing that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, I don't paint that many murals, actually.
Okay.
This one for Pride is a big one.
Yeah.
It's pretty close to the biggest one I've ever done. And, but other than that, like, I don't know. I might do, like, one or two, like, decent murals a year. It's not that many. I
okay.
mean, there's other street artists that are, like, out there, like, touring the world.
Yeah.
They're gone for 6 months.
Yeah.
They're painting every
Sure.
day they can. I mean, it sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I have other, I don't know. There's just other things to do, other opportunities that present themselves where I'm like, that
Yeah.
sounds good. I want to do that,
Awesome.
I don't think that I think that's like one thing I always kind of felt with, especially with like certain LA artists, like you and I have both done like art toys. We've done,
we worked with a
paintings
lot of the
and
same people over
yeah.
all these years.
And it's just this like constant hustle of like, oh, that sounds, that looks great. Let's give that a try and see like, whether or not like it, has an opportunity of like maybe attracting new people to the work and like, trying, and it'll just be a fun experience in general, so like, I get it. Like, I think that there's, so many different like things that are happening all the time, and like new things are constantly coming up. You don't want to shut yourself off to these kind of opportunities, especially if you could find a way to fit your aesthetic into it.
I also think it's really important to be picky and to say no a lot.
Sure.
So because that's what happened to me. It's like, oh, hey, it's my friend. Hey, this would be good. Hey, new eyeballs on the thing. Like, oh, that sounds good. Like, yeah, well, I should do that. You know,
Right.
It sounds good for all these reasons. But then you just get stressed out, and like if you don't have like good ideas, and it's like then it can get kind of.
It all depends on how much they're willing to compensate you for your for it. Like I think that like I think that's like the big thing. Like are they going to like if they're asking you to like travel all the way out here, are they going to put you up? Are they going to provide you with everything you need? Or are they going to make you comfortable? Are they going to pay you for the work? Are and like but like yeah, I don't.
Well, I have an agent for all that.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I do.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Are they in New York too?
No, she's in LA.
Oh,
Oh,
awesome.
nice.
Yeah. She's awesome. I've known her forever.
I've never gotten.
But yeah,
an
she
agent.
just hammers all that stuff out.
Oh.
Yeah.
I just kind of like ignore a lot of emails.
And then I have a lovely publicist over here too that helps
nice.
me with lots of projects too. So yeah, it takes a lot of people, like so yeah, it might be me like alone in the studio or me with an assistant sometimes. But there's other people outside of the studio like helping with lots of things, like it's just.
Do you plan on staying in New York for a while? Is that the plan, or?
Well,
There's a weird look you're having, so this is interesting.
No, New York's great. Look,
Right.
but I was in Hawaii for Christmas this last year, and it's the first time I'd been back in a few years. And it's so nice out there. It's like I'd really like to spend more time out there.
Yeah.
And then here we are in LA again, and we're both enjoying our time here in LA. And yeah, you know, I don't know. We're not making any rash decisions, you know, but yeah, it's good. You know? I think it's a good time to be alive, you know, kind of wherever you are.
Sure.
You know,
Sure, but you're gonna move out of New York. It sounds like you are. But, so wait, are you from? You're from Oahu, I take it.
Yeah,
Right?
Oahu. Yeah, born.
Wow.
Lived there till I was 17. Then I moved to
Wow.
LA.
Yeah,
You know, yeah, it's true.
that's hardcore.
You know, cut my teeth here, and then.
Did you
moved
go to
on.
one of those? What is it? I can't remember the names of these schools anymore in Hawaii.
Oh, Punahou. is
Yeah,
the
that
one.
one.
Yeah, I went to that one.
That one.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
The one Obama went to.
Yeah, Obama.
that one.
Lance from J Church, our J Church band, right? They
Oh.
were there, and a lot of. It seems like almost everybody you meet went to Punahou. That's kind of the thing. Yeah.
Man, it's an
that's cool.
amazing school.
Oh, is it?
I mean, it really is. It's like, you know,
Wow.
supposedly one of the top 10 in the whole country. I mean, it's like a serious school.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah,
I had no
really good.
idea.
Yeah.
Huh.
Well,
Cool.
You know, you know what's really funny? You know what's weird? When people leave Hawaii, you know where like one of the biggest places that people go to?
Where?
Las Vegas.
Oh, you mean to live?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Isn't that weird?
No, I didn't know
Hmm.
that.
Like there's no water there.
That's weird.
There's
Yeah.
it's like
Oh, that's why there's a California hotel, and right, the California hotel is basically like a Hawaii hotel. It's called the California. Yeah, and they have a Hawaiian restaurant.
oh,
restaurant.
nice.
Yeah. No,
Ah,
it's,
that
it's
is-
called the
but no,
California.
like, but
yeah.
to move from
It's weird,
Hawaii
right?
to Las
It's
Vegas
weird, yeah.
is just like,
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you know, I imagine like the cost of living in Las Vegas is significantly lower than like, you know,
Yeah,
Hawaii. So
definitely.
you know, your dollar definitely probably goes a lot, you know, a little bit
Yeah.
further. But it's not like living in like, I don't know, anywhere other than fucking, you know, North America.
The one other thing I will say about New York is, you know, we traveled lots of places in Europe, lots of other places, and like going to Switzerland. It is so clean in Switzerland, like you would not believe it. I was taking photos of the sidewalk.
Is it because New York's dirty? Because New York's
Oh
kinda
my
dirty.
God! It's like you go to these places and then you come back to New York and you're like, what is going on? There's so much money here. Actually, before I came here, I read a list of where the most billionaires are. New York is number one of any city in the world has the most billionaires. And the stuff that we have to endure living in New York, it's just like, what?
Why are they there?
There's so
Why
much
are
money here,
Yeah.
but the infrastructure sucks and it's dirty and it's just like, ugh.
It is weird, right? Because it's like Manhattan is. I mean, even just Manhattan's. There's a lot of rats, man.
Dude, it is oddly like
There's rats
oh
everywhere.
well. So the story was
It's
that there
gnarly.
was one rat per person. That
that-
was like the rough estimate. And New
That's-
York's
I
a
think
city
it's
of
a lot more
no.
than that.
New York's a city of 9 million people. Okay, so that was like the kind of, you know, whatever. That's
So there's 9 million rats.
the going wisdom. But then I saw this news story. It said no, it's actually only 2 million rats.
Oh, that's it.
That's
Oh, jeez.
No way.
Well, it is pretty. You know, there are people going up high, and maybe there's less rats up high,
Right.
and
right.
but there's a shit ton on the ground. Like
Dude, like I
You're
mean,
just
like
crazy.
2 million just fucking skittering
and that-
around in the
that's
subway.
There's 2 million in the subway, alone.
Yeah. You know.
So wait, do you take the subway?
Yeah, every day, man.
Oh, okay. So I wasn't sure if you're a private car dude or a Uber or whatever.
No, you know. Okay, so
Because you know, I see fights videos,
Yeah.
tons of fight videos.
I mean,
It's
subway is
always-
just crazy.
It's always New York.
It's just crazy. But you
Oh,
know,
man.
but you know, like traffic is such a big part of your life when you live in LA.
Yeah.
It's just like
Yeah.
it's like it has to do with every decision you make. Hey, am I going to go to this thing? Oh, where is it? What time is it? Blah blah blah. So moving to New York is like, oh, the subway. I can get anywhere in this city, anytime, even rush hour.
Right.
It's like 15 minutes. It's like,
Oh,
oh my god.
that's pretty good.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
So are you-
pretty
are you in-
remarkable.
so your studio's in Manhattan. You
Yeah.
live in Brooklyn.
Mhm.
Do you spend most of your time in Manhattan, or are you mostly in Brooklyn?
Well,
I mean, aside from sleeping and shit like that. But I mean,
no,
like-
I mean, I'm just at the
like,
studio.
like
I mean, I'm
social
just-
events, like going to art shows and stuff. Is it
yeah,
Manhattan or
I
Brooklyn?
guess there's a lot going on in Manhattan.
So
Yeah,
you-
for sure. Yeah.
I mean, do you go to like all these galleries out there that show work unlike your work? Because I always picture most of those galleries are going to show work unlike yours in Manhattan, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, are you going to like? I don't even know what's there anymore, man. Are you going to like art shows in Chelsea, for example, and
Well,
looking
that's
at
where a lot of galleries are. Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I do. I you know, 10 years ago when I was living here, like I would go all around LA
that's
to
what he
go to
does.
opening.
Yeah.
That's what
Like,
he
I
does.
mean, I mean, wherever, Santa Monica,
Yeah.
Long Beach. I mean,
Sure.
I would drive like,
Yeah.
Right.
I'm gonna like, you got a 2-hour window, maybe 3,
Yeah.
and try to just cram in as much as you can.
Yep.
Those days are way behind.
So you're
me.
not doing that in New York. Like,
No, I
okay.
just work,
Mm.
or I go to a couple openings here and there, and that's usually sufficient.
Do you show a lot in Manhattan at all? Like, are you showing?
Well, to go back to Luke's previous question, I do have a show coming
Yeah.
up
Okay.
in October in New
Mm.
York. It's just up the street from my studio on Bowery, and it's with Dalek.
Oh, nice.
Awesome.
Yeah, so he and I did a show together last year, and you know, I'm a fan of his forever.
Yeah.
You know, I've bought little paintings over the years.
Cool.
And but I never really knew him, you know, and gallery connected us, and we did a show last year, and that was good. And so we agreed to do it again, and yeah, rock and roll,
Nice.
Awesome.
you know.
Because he doesn't live in he lives in North Carolina or something
Exactly.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, he just kind of he lived in New York, you know.
Right. He was.
Yeah, and then he
gotcha.
just he moved out there, you know, wanted to do different things, and that's what he's been doing.
Cool.
So yeah, no, I talked to him like last week. I hadn't talked to him like probably since our show last year. I just called him and just talking about stuff. Like, yeah, that's good.
So you have a show happening in New York.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
cool.
it'll be fun.
Is it hard to get shows out there?
Yeah,
for
you know,
yourself?
it's just really tough. You know,
Yeah.
it's just, you know, part of the thing about New York is that it's expensive.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, like the pressure, like, you know, the rent's high, the weather's intense, like it's just like full on. And so when it comes to art, it's just about the numbers, man. It's like the gallery has to pay so much money in rent.
Right.
It's like, how much are your paintings? How many can you sell? No, I'm not going to do that. Or yeah, cool. Hey, let's do it. You know, it's just like, it's crazy. So, you know, I think it's some of those like nuts and bolts stuff that you just have to take into account,
Right.
you know? So,
Wow.
Did you follow like the
Sounds
entire Jonathan Levine kind of thing as he, you know?
yeah, I mean, you know, I never worked with Jonathan. I had one piece in a group show once
Yeah, same here.
that was curated by someone else. So I was like, had nothing to do with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, hey, look, man, I don't know. I think he did some things that were not quite, you know, the way business should be done. And
Sure.
so, you know, consequences.
Yeah.
I actually don't know what that is, but okay. That sounds
I
bad.
heard
Actually,
I heard some rumors, you know, here and there.
Oh, no.
You know, but like I'm not even really quite sure if I could even articulate what those rumors are.
I
Yeah.
can, but I'm not. It's
Yeah,
just
don't-
like, hey, you know, like, I don't know.
I had no idea. Yeah, but all I know is he was doing some kind of pay to play type of art thing in New Jersey or something. Like you had to pay to. I didn't quite. That's now. I was like, oh, that didn't sound very appealing.
Well, I mean, here's the
Yeah.
thing. I think that, like, in our world, we're not used to this, like, hey, pay to be considered for this thing. But, I mean, I think, like, look, if you're in Idaho and you're painting coyotes or something and you want to show somewhere, yeah, you pay $30 and hopefully they'll let you in.
It's only 30.
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
but it's
you know,
hopefully
whatever it
they'll-
is,
Oh,
right?
that doesn't guarantee you in.
Right. You know, it's like
Oh,
a
I
juried
see.
show. Like, I
Gotcha.
think that's, like, pretty typical, like, outside of what we're
Oh.
used to.
Sure.
And so that's what he was doing is the competition, you know, and,
Right.
you know, he presented in a way that it seemed like if you won, that'd be pretty good, right? So I don't know what the entry fee was,
Oh.
but, you know, that'd be pretty small compared to what you could
Yeah,
potentially
what you
get
can
out of it, right? Like the
Mhm.
Yeah.
exposure and
Right.
blah, blah,
it's like
blah.
buying a lotto ticket.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Mm.
Dollar
So-
for $1 billion. More
I don't know.
likely.
Like I said, I never worked with him. I
I
didn't
know.
have a dog in the fight. So,
Mhm.
Yeah.
you know.
No. I just kind of.
But it's one of those things where I feel like he was he was doing something that I kind of understood. You know, like the artist he was showing, I was kind of like, okay,
Yeah.
he's doing this, and then that didn't work. That's when I was like, oh my god, that's not going to work there, as far as I can tell, right? I'm like, oh,
Well, I think that,
Yeah.
I mean,
these are artists that I kind of understand what they do here, and then they're doing it there, and all of a sudden I'm like, that doesn't work. So then I was confused. I'm like, well, what works then?
well, I wouldn't say that it doesn't work because I think it does work. I think that there's just like, I don't know, sometimes businesses have some issues and things,
Sure.
and, you know.
Sure. Well, you know, I mean,
So it's
even-
not just the market. I'm just saying like there's
Like, well,
There's
who
multiple
who would
forces.
show Luke's work there? Because I thought Jonathan may one day, but then
Do you want to show New York?
I would love to do a show in New York.
Is there anybody you have in mind that you would want to work with out there?
I don't know of anybody that that would be. It all
Get this,
depends.
I get a cut of this now.
Hey, what about me, man?
Yeah, we'll split it. We'll split it.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
you know, I think everyone like in Los Angeles kind of wants to like show in New York, right? You know, it's
There's a mythology to it of some sort.
yeah,
yeah.
It's new fucking York, you know.
Yeah.
So like, but I think I just have never like explored all my opportunities. I always kind of saw like, oh, there's Jonathan Levine, and then I'll get like some invitations from places upstate, and I'm like. I'm not talking about Beacon. I'm like talking upstate, And I've worked with the guys from Clutter before doing stuff, and that's fun and fine. And Beacon's beautiful, but like, I would ideally like to do something that's in the boroughs. I'm not particularly picky about like Manhattan versus Brooklyn,
Right.
Kind of thing.
Then you could show in Queens. Is there anything in
I
Queens?
don't know if there's
no,
too many
there's nothing in Queens.
opportunities
Okay,
in Queens,
never
but,
mind.
But like, I mean, like I would have loved to have, worked with like, Cotton Candy Machine back when they were
Yeah.
still around, They live in Beacon now.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
That's
so,
true. That's all
you
true.
know.
Yeah. No, I mean, obviously that would have been a great place.
Yeah.
There's Super Chief.
I've met. They have a gallery in Los
Yep.
Angeles.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've met the guys once, but like I haven't like really like kept up with what they've been up to. Super Chief would have been awesome. They're very hip. Kind of. They seem very hip.
Yeah. Yeah.
like- but I don't know whether or not they, my I don't know. I don't want to like, like imply like, oh, my work wouldn't work there because I think it wouldn't work there because I don't know.
Yeah.
What works and what doesn't.
Yeah.
But I'm also trying to like, I don't know. We're all trying to evolve and grow and move and explore different directions in our work, and we'll see what happens. As I continue pushing myself and
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. No, man, it's tricky.
Yeah.
Tricky.
Are you still making like toy figures? Are you still doing that stuff, or I feel like I haven't seen anything in a second on that. But
So let me tell you what happened.
oh, okay.
So earlier this year, before I dove into painting full time, I decided it had been too long without a new toy figure.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, okay, I'm going to go through pages, folders. I'm going to go through all the ideas of toys I've had. So I scanned them in. If they weren't scanned in, I dug through all these things, and I like accumulated all these designs over all these years. Some like 10 years old, some not that old. Organize this whole thing, and I'm like old school, right? So I take all these things, I print out like little thumbnails of them, and I physically maneuver them around my desk. It's like, okay,
Wow.
so there's these here, there's these here. So here's like Chinese production, here's Japanese production, here's resin we could do in-house or out-house, out of the house, out of the studio. I'm just like figuring out, okay, well, these should be first, and okay, once we do those, we'll do these. Like I got this whole master plan. I printed it out. It's on my studio wall. And as soon as I did that, I just abandoned it.
You don't want to do it?
Yeah, that's what happened. So yeah, I do want to do them.
Oh, okay.
So I have a whole plan,
But
which you
just-
would know because I haven't done anything. And normally that would bother me because I think that you're only judged by what you do, right? So it doesn't matter like how many projects you start; it matters how many projects you finish, right? So for doing all that work, well, I have nothing to show for it really. So it's like, okay, so whatever, right? But I do want to do stuff. I just this last year was so crazy for me. I was just like too stressed out with too many things. Went to Hawaii, just kind of was like, I'm not doing anything. So this year has been an interesting year. And whereas normally I would be like, oh, well, hey, like, for example, I've always sold stuff on my website. And there's always kind of making new things on the website. So like I recently like ran out of sticker packs. I have 2 different sticker packs, sold out of sticker packs. So normally I'd be like, oh, got to make new stickers. This time I'm like, nope, I'll do them later or whenever. I just like have to focus on what's important. And for me, what's important is making the paintings. That's it. Just do the paintings. In addition to that, any new projects you take on, like toys and stuff, I know there's just like 50 emails. It's like I don't want 50 emails. And if I'm doing 3 projects, that's 150 emails. If I'm doing 5 projects, that's 250 emails.
Right.
I don't want that. Like, I don't want more emails.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
So is this a thing that you're going to put on the back burner and maybe do another
Well, no,
time?
I have people hitting me up about making
Yeah.
toys and stuff, and I do want to do toys. It's
Yeah.
just like, it's just got to be kind of the right thing.
I
You
see.
know, like I think I got to get through these paintings, keep cranking on those, so I feel like I'm in a good place with those.
Okay, toy companies out there, 5 emails. Buffmonster, 5 emails.
Well, that's
Yeah.
actually what I tell people,
Yeah.
because you know, like I have friends in the toy business, and I tell them, I was like, look, the only way I can do this is if it's going to be easy. Like it just, that's it. Like it's got to be easy, and ideally, easy means efficient.
Right.
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 Yeah.
Efficiency is what we're after. You know, it's like I've been doing this long enough. I know what goes into all these things. Even projects that are like, oh, you just send a couple emails. Yeah, you just go. Da, 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 da. It seems so. Everything seems so easy and so efficient. And it's like I've done it enough times. Where it's like I know it's not that easy.
It's true. It's,
Especially 3D. I mean, 3D is just like infinitely harder than 2D. I can do 2D stuff easy. I can make new prints. I can make new sticker packs. I can do all that stuff. Like that's fine. But 3D stuff, like, it's a lot more difficult. You know, so yeah, so like, look, we're set up in the studio. I know how to make mold. I know how to cast resin. I can train an assistant how to do that. That's how we've been doing the last few years. Even casting concrete in the studio. My old assistant, I was like, I don't know, figure it out. You know, like we bought 4 different types of concrete. We figured it out. You know, I was like, I don't know how to do this. You don't know how to do this. Let's just figure it out. So we figured it out. She's casting concrete. Like, you know, like we have the capabilities. I got a pressure pot, and you know, we can do all that stuff. And that's actually really nice because it's like, hey, look, if there's let's say I want to do a small addition for some project or something, I know I could just basically do it myself. Like I literally don't need anybody's help. Like
You still want to do that though? Like, is that?
I mean, look, I like casting resin and all that, but I'm not going to spend my time doing it. You know,
Yeah.
it's just not going to happen, right? So, like, yeah, I mean, I want to do Chinese vinyl. I want to do 500 of this colorway, 200 of this colorway. I want to, like, yeah, let's make 1,000 toys, and then let's do another 1,000 toys of something different. Like, yeah, I want to do it all.
But your
But-
priorities right now are at the painting, aren't with your paintings.
I just got to focus on, like, on what's important. What's going to be the best for me career-wise? Like, what is the thing that, like, is at the core of what I'm doing? And that's what it is. You know, I don't think, you know, there's always criteria that I've used, that we all use for if you're going to take on a project or not take on a project.
Right.
And, you know, one of the big ones that kind of trumps all the ones is this going to make or break my career? And I know that most stuff isn't going to make or break my career. So you know what? Making new paintings could make my career.
Right.
So I'm going to do that.
What can break it then? I mean, that sounds like there's nothing can break it, right?
Yeah, there's lots of stuff you
Really?
can do. But like, yeah, I mean, like, look, let's say like I go down this road of making toys. I'm just bombarded by emails all day long.
And you're not making paintings.
I'm not making
yeah.
paintings.
Gotcha.
I can't say yes to these projects I really want to do. And like, then it all goes to hell. The toys don't turn out the way I want them to, or they turn out late. You know, it's like, it could all go to hell pretty easily, you know? Yeah.
So you mean not like breaking your career in terms of like your work's presence in the, you know, on the field, but for yourself personally?
Well, I mean, look, I think we could all make like a few bad choices.
Sure.
And that could put us in a really bad place,
Right.
which you said would be, going back to what you said earlier, would be hard to come back from. You know, so yeah, I do think you need to be strategic, and like, there's only so much time, right? So it's like, you know, I don't know, you just, you know, I mean, you know, and like making art is always a weird thing because it's like I'm making these paintings and I'm not trying to show them. I mean, I will, but that's not like, oh, I'm going to make this painting and hey, I'll sell it tomorrow and I'll get that money. It's like, no, I'm going to make these paintings. I might paint over some of them. Some of them I might show in 6 months or 9 months from here. Get paid 30 days or 60 days after. I mean, I might not make any money on this specific painting for a year, maybe.
Right.
I'm just like, you know, so it's like, you know, you just, I don't know, you know, you just got to kind of prioritize that.
Yeah.
You know, like you got to get your finances covered so you're okay and you have the time to do it.
Right.
And then you got to make the time to do it and do it. You know, and then the next step is not being locked in the studio, you know, because as much as I like being in the studio, so much of the business is not being in the studio, right? I do have to go to openings. I do have to go to my friends' studios. I do have to like be around, you know.
Yeah.
I do have to take on these mural projects, which like means everything else in my life like falls away basically. You know, like you have to make time for those projects. Whereas before it's like I didn't have the time. I'd kind of try to cram in the time, just trying to make it work, and to varying degrees of success, I guess. But now it's just being a little bit more picky and strategic. You know, it's just like for my sanity. You know, it's like there's only so much I can do.
Sure.
You know,
For sure.
I tried to do so many things all the time, and now it's like.
Yeah.
So do you end up meeting a lot of like the old school graffiti guys, or are you disassociated with that?
No.
Way,
I've met a lot of like the old school dudes.
do they know your work?
Yeah, you know, because sometimes we might be in some of the same projects, you know. But like, I'm the young kid, you know, like.
Yep.
You know, I mean, I was born when some of those guys started painting. I mean, I'm like so far removed from it. And there's so much history, good or bad, drama, you know, whatever, like just history that I just don't know about, right? But, you know, whatever. I mean, hey, look, you know, we're all, you know, we all meet whenever we meet, you know, whatever's happened, you know?
Cool.
So, like, I love meeting some of the old guys, like Dr. Revolt, you know, old school dude.
Right.
You know, he came by my studio. I wanted to buy a painting from a little show that he had. And
Cool.
it just kind of made sense that he was going to pop by and bring the painting over and just like hanging out with him. It's like, this dude's been painting trains. You know, he was painting trains in the 70s. You know, like I wasn't probably even born when he started painting. You know, I love guys that have been around for so long and have a perspective on it. You know, I think that's the thing that I'm always looking for probably is the guys that have been around and have a perspective. I think that's just, I think it's really valuable, you know, because like, look, if you're going through your life, your career, you're like, oh yeah, well, hey, I'll do that show, or I won't do that show, or hey, I won't work with that person again, or hey, you know, like you make all these choices. But, you know, over time, what you get is, I mean, I guess you might call it wisdom or something, but you could see like, yeah, you know what, like this thing, yeah, that might not be so great, but if you do it, then you get to do this thing that you really want to do.
Right.
And it's not immediately clear to you. I mean, it's still not clear to me, right? But hopefully you can have a bit of perspective about stuff as time goes on. So that's what I think some of those old school guys have, is like this really interesting perspective. You know, I mean, think about like how graffiti started in the trains in New York all those years ago, and then look at like where we are now. It's crazy, you know?
Yeah. Did you or are you in the art from the streets show?
No, sir.
No. Or did you attend it or check it out?
Yeah. Went to the artist reception. Yeah, like last week. Insane. Cool. So many old school dudes there.
Oh, really?
Like the number of artists there, I was just blown away.
Are they involved in the show too, or are they just attending?
They might be, or they might have just gone. Like, I don't think I've ever been to a show that had that many artists there. Like, it was just mind-boggling.
Do you know what they look like? I mean,
yeah,
I wouldn't even know what most of these graffiti guys look like.
Yeah, but I didn't like. There's artists there that I didn't even know they were there. Like, I was there for 4 hours. I still didn't even see everybody.
Wow.
You know, your old buddy Barry was there. I was like, I didn't know he was there. I saw this photo the next day. I was like,
oh, he was there? I didn't know.
I was like, what the hell?
What is it called? That one's, wait, what's that one? It's just Art in the Streets? Or was it? It's not the other one.
No. Beyond the Streets.
Art's Beyond the Streets.
Yeah, Beyond the Streets.
Oh, and he was in that show too?
I don't even know if he was in the show.
Because I think, because when they had it here, he goes, no, what did he say? He said some one-liner like, was it
What?
Art Beyond? I forgot. It was like
Art from the Streets, the one.
No,
with
Art in the Streets was at Mocha.
Yeah.
Art in
And
the
then,
Streets,
And then
Beyond the
after
Streets.
that was Beyond the Streets.
Yeah, and he said he's still in the streets, so they're or something like that. You know, like he gave me a one-liner and said, "Yeah, I'm still in the streets, so no, I'm not in that." So I wasn't sure, but then he's in New York. Maybe he was in that one. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's great. I'll go back and check out the show when there's less people there.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's
That's
something.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I haven't even seen any pictures from it, but like
I saw a little bit. Yeah.
the algorithm. It just blocks me from like. It's funny. Like I was actually like at a during the Hello Kitty show, I was talking to Kristen Lu Wong, and she introduced me to an artist friend of hers named Luke, which it's always a pleasant coincidence. And I was like, oh, well, let me look at your check out your Instagram, and I couldn't connect on Instagram because there's just too many people and too many phones, and like
Luke makes good work.
And then like
No, he does.
I looked
I
at
know who
his
you're talking about.
I looked at his Instagram, and
Yeah.
I'm already following him, and I'm
Oh,
like,
there you go.
like, well, okay, I didn't make that connection, but it's because his work isn't his feed isn't coming through on my feed, because of the algorithm.
Oh, yeah. That's how it is now.
I went to my friend's studio a few weeks ago. He had like an open studio thing, and I hadn't talked to him about a year since like his last open studio, and I show up at his studio and he's like, "Dude, you're alive." I was like, "Yeah, man, what's up? Like, what's going on?" And like, he's like, a little bit old school, and he's just like, like, I don't see you in my feed anymore, man. And he told me that he had actually reached out to Instagram. It's like, and it was like, why don't I see my friends in my feed anymore?
Wow. And what do they say?
I don't know what they say. I don't even know if they write
They probably
back,
don't even say anything.
The
It's,
algorithm.
it's owned by fucking Facebook, and you can't talk to anyone. Like, there's no tech support on Facebook or
So
Instagram.
today there was problems with Facebook,
and
Instagram,
Instagram.
all that sort of stuff.
Did you know?
Like worldwide.
I
'Cause-
heard about that.
I was gonna say maybe you were still sleeping, but
I was still
yeah,
sleeping.
okay. 'Cause you guys vampire hours, but yeah.
No, but what I was saying to my girlfriend Dana was, I was like, imagine if someone hacks Instagram and Instagram just goes away. That's pretty crazy. I mean, because there's it's not just us that like. I wouldn't say we like make our living on Instagram, but it obviously helps what we do, right?
Sure.
But think about like influencers and people that actually have their livelihood dependent on Instagram.
Right. Girls with butt.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, but even when they changed the algorithm, like whenever that was, like I heard there was like a lot of backlash. Like people are like making a lot less money now. Like it's just it's become such a part of not just like pop culture, but also like the economy.
Yeah. It is a bummer because like the only people whose work I usually see are people whom I actively will like their work, and like just because I don't like an quote unquote like an image doesn't mean I don't like it. It just means like, oh, I think it's cool, and I just keep on looking. And the only things I generally will like these days are things that I'm going to inevitably bookmark because I'm like trying to collect a feed of work that I find interesting or kind of in the direction that I'm kind of trying to move my work toward, and so like, and as a result, like there's so many friends of mine whom I just don't see anymore, and it's kind of like just because I bookmarked like or liked a handful of images doesn't mean like I don't want to see everything else. Like, and there's enough fucking ads like scattered throughout the fucking across it anyways. So like,
well, you follow these people for a reason,
right?
You said, hey, I want to see what these people are up to.
Right, exactly. And then like I don't know what is going on with like the people I'm apparently following, because I have no idea who some of these people are. Like I'll just suddenly like who the fuck is this person that I'm following? And I'll open up their fucking their profiles. I'll look over their thumbnails, and I'm like, I have no idea why I would even have followed this person.
So do you unfollow them?
Oh yeah, I unfollow them. Yeah.
Oh, good.
I do the same thing.
Being responsible.
Yeah, I'm like because I don't need this fucking like baby pictures in my fucking feed. It's from a person I don't even fucking know.
Wow.
Damn, Luke.
Luke gets dark. Man. This is light.
Yeah.
Yeah. The podcast. Anyways.
Yeah. But I have one, I don't know, an art kind of a last for me almost near the end art question still is like, what do you want to end up doing? I mean, is it making big paintings in a white wall gallery? Because at one time it seemed like you wanted to put art on the street, like every, be most up type of thing, right? I remember that. I was like, oh, you're everywhere. But was the goal like big paintings in big gallery? Was that kind of the end, or I don't want to say end, but
yeah. I mean, I think that. I think being young, being optimistic, thinking you can do whatever. I think you can have some ideas like that. I don't know. I always thought it's. I don't know. Even now, I just feel a little awkward, kind of saying like, "Oh yeah, hey, I want to work with these big galleries," because I don't know. I just Yeah, I don't. I've had lots of ideas and lots of aspirations and stuff for my career and for my work and everything over the years. I don't know. I haven't been thinking so much about that. I've just been thinking about doing the work. Just get the work done, making the paintings I want to make. I think that I don't know. I mean, you must think differently about things. Growing up, getting older.
I'm still in the same place though. I'm still here, man. I'm still
here.
I'm still here, man.
No, I mean, I don't know, man. I think, yeah, I don't know. There's just, I don't think it's like just specific to making art, but I think that any business relies so much on all these outside things happening. You could say, hey, okay, some of that's luck. Hey, some of that's like relationships, the people your friends, kind of opportunities that come from there. There's all these things like outside that can happen or not happen. That'll either really kind of help you along your way or kind of not help you along your way. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm just
no worries. I just thought, I was thinking that was you kind of made it sound like that might be an end goal, is start doing some showing big paintings in big ass places.
That's what my goal is.
Yeah, that's how I kind of I thought maybe it was yours too, because I assume that is Luke's.
Oh, I'd like to. I'd definitely like to do that. Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Random, I'm going to say this, and I hope it doesn't sound at all offensive, but you've totally chilled out so much compared to when I knew when you were in Los Angeles. Like, I kind of thought you were a jerk, when you were in LA, but like,
well, I probably was. I mean, whatever. I was stressed out a lot. I had a lot to do.
Yeah, but Thomas actually noticed it, like when we were at the Hello Kitty show. He's like, dude, Buff's totally like, like he's not as snarky and as he used to be.
What was the word you might? I don't remember.
Sardonic.
Sardonic. Yeah.
Sardonic. That's a good word.
Yeah.
There you
That's
go.
pretty big. Huh?
So
3 syllables.
Yeah. And I thought about it. I'm like, yeah, you're right. Like, you had a much more relaxed demeanor. So
yeah, man,
it's great seeing.
Thanks,
I'm
man.
so glad to see that.
Just,
like, you're, like, you seem a lot more comfortable.
Yeah, I am. Like it's just I think. Yeah, I think I'd just taken on too much for too many years. It was just too much.
Sure.
I've been invited to speak a couple times, and so I've had the opportunity to look over the work that I've done over the years and think about all those times over the years, and it's just crazy. Living in LA, for all those times, God, it was just too much. Sure. It was just not being here, but just taking on all those projects. Like, I always thought that I said no a fair amount, but this is like going back to what I was saying earlier about like making or breaking my career. Like, I feel like there were so many opportunities that presented themselves, and some you're just not going to do. Right. But there's so many that are like, this could be it.
Wow.
This could be the one, like doing this one. Could it be a show? Could be working with a corporate client. Like, it's like, this could be it. And then, like, none of them were it, really. Or maybe after all these years, like, it's like, all those put together has got me where I am or whatever, which is, sure, I guess you couldn't argue with. But none of them were really like the thing that I was like, this is it. So I guess just after all these years, it's like just a little bit more mellow about it. Just like,
Was it the wheat pasting? Was that like more valuable in the end?
Well, that was awesome. I mean, that was like me with like one of my really good friends, and we would just go out at night, and we wouldn't even talk about wheat pasting. Like, we'd just be, we'd meet up at like midnight. We'd go out to like 3 or 4 in the morning, and we just had a routine down.
Because there's no money to be made with.
No money, and yeah, it wasn't a means to an end either. It was like, for me, it's like I just get to hang with a friend of mine. His name's Caesar, and Caesar was awesome. We still talk sometimes. I mean, he and I would go out do all this illegal stuff, but not even talk about the posters because we had our stuff down. It's like we'd always alternate boxes. So it's like, oh, did you do the last one? All right, well, it's mine. Okay, cool. You know, like, but then other than that, it's just us talking about life and just talking about like what was going on with each other and just like, you know, all that sort of stuff. And that was like really fun. And so sometimes we'd forget, like, did you do the last one? Nah, I think I did the last one. And then you just like, you know, you go on with it. And yeah, it's fun, you know, I mean, you know, but it's also like, you know, how quickly people forget, you know, it's like, you guys know I put up a ton of posters. Other people know I put up a ton of posters, but there's other people like today that never even saw one of mine.
Right.
You know?
Right.
No, they saw it. They just forgot.
Dude.
They saw it.
Buffmonster says no to graffiti, man.
They saw it. Oh my God. That made graffiti guys mad, didn't it?
Oh, jeez.
Right?
Thanks, Eric.
I don't know to what extent. But I know people get
Dude,
mad.
that's the poster that I always think of, like on the corner where Corey Helford used to be on Washington Boulevard.
Yeah.
You know, the Buffmonster says no to graffiti. You know,
I don't know. I don't know the stories, but I'm just assuming that made a lot of people mad. You think everyone's over it now?
I think so. I mean, I think
so.
we all just get older and, you know.
I mean, I'm looking at it. I mean, I hope that people are over it. That's what I'm saying. It's like
time heals all wounds,
I hope
right?
So. I mean,
certainly, I like to hope it does.
that's like ironic, and I don't know. To me, it's humor and ironic. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fucking
too,
wheat paste poster,
too,
which is
I
like
don't know.
considered like, you know, vandalism. You know,
That's what I'm saying. It's
know.
it's ironic. It's all irony, and it's like
Self-referential
yeah. I don't know. Then
to some
anyway.
extent, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Sorry, you brought that up. I guess I don't know. That's part of the history. Though. It's part of the history.
we'll bring that up the next time we interview. Hey, Buff.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for.
Oh, hey,
you
man.
so
Thanks for having
much.
me. It's
Yeah.
great to see you
know,
guys.
It was really great chatting and
Yeah.
like, you know, hearing, like, catching up on
Yeah.
and everything.
I
I'm glad
appreciate you
things are
inviting
going
me to jump on here.
Dude, you know, like I didn't. We gotta thank Albert Reyes for this. First of all,
So weird.
You know,
Albert. Yeah.
Mr. Reyes,
That's
like
right.
you
Thank
know, like because I was just at the Kitty show and I was just there to, you know, like do whatever, and you know, and then like Albert was like, oh, dude, you know, you should have, you know, Buffmonster on
Yeah,
the show, and
yeah.
I'm like, and I was thinking like, would Buff do the show? You know, and he talked it up, and I was just like. As soon as I bumped back into you again, I was like, dude, I would love to have you on the show, you know, so.
Is there anything you need to mention?
There is one other little show coming up soon with your friends at Clutter.
Oh.
It's a custom toy show, which I did with you all those years ago.
Yes.
So it is a custom Mr. Melty toy show
Oh, cool.
at
Fantastic.
Clutter, which opens July 13th.
Nice.
Wait, that's even sooner than the other?
I know. Can you believe it?
All
Yeah,
right.
that's like freaking. That's next
soon.
week, right?
Yeah.
That's next
Kind of.
weekend.
Yeah.
Is that in Beacon?
Yeah, Beacon.
Okay.
Yeah,
gotcha.
yeah.
You're going to be there?
I'll be there.
Oh.
Isn't that great?
People go to Beacon, and then you're going to go to Switzerland, I take it. Or do you not go to
Oh,
that?
no, I'm not going to go to
You don't go to
Switzerland.
that
No,
one,
I'm
okay.
not going to go to that one.
Well,
But,
Beacon is a great place to
It's
visit.
just like Zurich. No, I'm kidding.
There's like there's a fancy popsicle place, you know, a couple blocks away.
Yeah.
You know.
Never been there. But cool.
It's beautiful. Like, what's his name? What? Oh my God. Why am I blanking?
Ron English.
Yes.
Tar McPherson.
Tar McPherson.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're, you know, fixtures of the Beacon.
That's awesome. Because Beacon's like an old school or like more of a hippie thing. And
Yeah.
I'm glad the
well,
kids are
they
taking
have like a
over.
major sculpture garden out there.
Which is
too.
outside of it. Yeah.
That's rad.
Yeah. And then the other thing that I got to mention.
There's something else.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's hear it.
It's even sooner than next weekend.
Oh, my God.
This weekend. I'm supposed to be painting at 3D Retro.
Oh,
Awesome.
nice. Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Oh, well, yeah. No, like you'll be in good company over there. There's like beautiful pieces up there.
There are.
Burbank? No.
Glendale.
Glendale.
I always
Yeah.
get those
Gosh,
mixed up.
me too.
Glendale and
Yeah.
Burbank. Like,
You know what? I used to know the difference. Now you've ruined it for me. Yeah. Okay.
because I don't.
Okay.
Burbank and Glendale. They're
Kind of close, but not really. I don't know.
Hey, man, I'm with you, man. When I lived here, like, I didn't know anything about
It's
any
over
of that
there,
stuff.
but
Yeah, it's
okay.
over there. Exactly.
Cool.
It's like,
Awesome.
yeah.
Are you gonna? Is it like?
So Saturday I'll be there working.
Can people go and watch?
People can go and watch. I don't know how like formal all that is going to be. You know, my
good
focus is to get the wall done, but you know where I'll be on Saturday.
fantastic.
Cool.
So yeah,
Have a blast.
yeah.
Thanks so much,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
And how can people get a hold of you?
That's true.
Luke, look at you.
Buffmonster.com.
So
No.
seamless over here. So casual.
Instagram.
Yep, at Buffmonster on
Gotcha.
Instagram or Twitter, /Buffmonster on Facebook, buffmonster.com, staymelty.com.
Oh, and staymelty.com.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
One website is not enough.
Cool. Congrats on all your like successes.
Oh,
and
hey, thanks, you
all
guys.
that
No,
stuff.
it's really great to see you
And
guys.
I look forward to when you move back.
Yeah,
maybe.
Sounds good.
Maybe you'll be bi-coastal and just be able to do both.
That'd be
the
pretty
dream.
awesome.
That's the dream.
That'd be
right?
pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool.
All
Thanks,
right.
you guys.
All right.
Thank you.